So yeah, so the patient prediction work group, we existed about, I guess we started probably like 6 or 7 years ago. And then a couple of years back, we merged in with the causal inference group to do just a methods group. But we decided to branch out again just so we could get some more focus on prediction. So this is a work group that is now being led by Ross Williams and myself. And we had our first meeting about it's 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Actually 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and we had a good number of people, and we discussed some initial OKRs. So we haven't really finalized our OKRs yet, but so that's still in progress. If you join the meeting on the 14th, which is our next meeting, to 9 a.m. Eastern time, which means you have to get up early if it's the West Coast, but I do think it's worth it. But if you do prioritize sleeping, then there will be recordings as well. So if you want to sleep past 6 a.m., which I would probably pick, although this is going to be a good meeting, but still I like sleep, we will have recordings. So the meetings are monthly. It's the second Wednesday every month. And if you're interested in prediction, come join. We had a good showing last week, well, 2 weeks ago, and I'm hoping that will grow even bigger. And if we get big numbers there, we may end up having little subgroups in terms of different specialities. So if people are interested in doing the methods research, we may have like a subgroup, and if people are interested in doing more clinical applications, we may have a subgroup for that. So if it's big, we'll be able to handle that. And then what do we do? Well, we're still trying to figure out what people really want to do in this weekly or this monthly meeting. But at the moment, what we're thinking is it will be a way for us to discuss new tools and methods. So when there's new tools and techniques in our packages, we'll be able to show that and just get that out to everyone. Because right now, when we actually have development, it's not always clear to people what's being done. So we're hoping to just be a bit more open and people being transparent, people will be able to see what's being done. Also be able to give feedback and maybe direct some of the code a little bit more as well. We're also hoping to have discussions on methods research. So there's actually a lot of methods research being done, and you'll see in the next slide some of the topics, but this is actually in your selection. So we're hoping we'll have discussions, and maybe people present the work they're interested in or they've done. And maybe we'll be discussing future research. And this really depends on what people in the work group want. So this is something we're still going to be figuring out. As I said, we've only just reestablished. One of the things that I would really like us to do as a work group is actually run some studies live. So we've got an hour when we've got people together. I feel like we're at the stage now where we can run studies pretty efficiently. So maybe we can actually have a study and actually just run it in that hour where we can actually help people if they're having little issues with the connections, or help people if they're having little issues with the setup. We may not be able to get everyone to run it within that hour, but I think it will be a good lessons learning for us to actually see where we need to kind of make improvements on studies to make them even more efficient in the future. So that's what my goal is to actually get a study run sometime in the next year in that monthly hour meeting. So some of the work that we've actually been looking at and we're interested in, based on the discussion we had 2 weeks ago, was things like the model transportability and this calibration issue. So if you train a model in one database, it often is miscalibrated in another database. And we're looking at ways where we can actually do some more advanced methods to try and improve calibration. And one thing we're thinking is ensemble learning may be a way of us to actually improve calibration. And we've got some ideas of that. Or there may be some other methodologies as well we also discussed in the last meeting. We're also thinking about ways to interpret external validation. So when you get a decrease in external validation, when you transport the model, why do you see that decrease? Is it that the model was just bad? Was it that the data just isn't available in the new database? Is it the case mix of the patients just very different? Then we're looking at things like the best practices. So this is something we've been doing for a while. And we're hoping to continue this. So there's a lot of decisions that you need to make when you develop a prediction model. So we want to make sure that the way you design a prediction is the best approach. So we're doing lots of research to guide that process. Then there's the model updating. So this is kind of a newer topic that's hopefully going to start being thought of a little bit more. And this is once you started applying a model, how do you update it? and how do we actually get this updating process into our framework. Right now, you train a model, we get it evaluated over a network study, and we kind of stop there. So it'd be good to kind of actually get some model updating done. And then this counterfactual prediction, this is a goal that we had in the joint methods research last year, that we haven't really focused too much on, but I think this is a really exciting area. So I think counterfactual predictions where I like to see some work being done as well, and I know there's some interest in that. So there's some thoughts and ideas being developed right now for that. Then we've actually got a small group of people who are doing deep learning, kind of they're actually on the more the software side, but now we're actually thinking about using this to do some research. So we're thinking of doing some comparison of some of the methods that we have in the framework already. So there was a new package, Deep Patient Prediction, and we'll be using that to actually do some research now. And there's also research into things like what type of regularization methods should we be using. So AX actually been doing some great work there, and it's actually pretty exciting. He's actually got some great results already. So these are just some of the research projects that we're interested in. The things in blue, if you're interested in why it's color coordinated like this, the things in blue are basically things that we've done quite a lot of research already, and we're kind of maybe midway through into that. There's still a lot of research to be done, especially for things like the best practices, but there's already been some work on it. The things in green are the things that are a little bit more early stage for the group, I think. So these are the things that people are interested in, and we're just starting to come up with research questions and research for this. So if you're interested in any of these, come join the work groups and get involved. But if you're interested in the green things, that's where we're really now going to be shaping these research questions. So you could actually have quite a big impact if you join in the next few months and start chatting with everyone in the work group. So yeah, if you have any other questions about the type of research we're doing and how to join the work group, feel free to message me. I have multiple teams like accounts, so message me on all of the teams accounts, because there will be one or two where I will miss the messages. So if there's 3 Jenna Reps on Teams, just message all 3.
And in all different teams, right? Which teams are you in, Jenna? To give us the list.
I'm in too many. This is my problem. I'm in like too many teams with too many accounts. So the best way actually to get my attention is to post an issue on Patient Level Prediction GitHub. If you go to the issue on GitHub and you say there's something wrong, that will get my attention straight away.
That's your messaging system now? Actually, I have a question. Can you say one word about counterfactual prediction? So you're predicting the opposite of what you're predicting, and whether that's predictable, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, so the idea of counterfactual prediction would be it's mostly for, the way I would think of it is for like things like the drugs. So right now we can't say your risk of an alternative drug. So say we know like someone has say there's a drug that's known to cause stroke. We could kind of train a model and say, here's the risk that you, at the point you took the drug, of having stroke, but we don't know whether it was due to the drug or just then the background risk. And we don't know if we can transport that to a different drug population. So we can't really use prediction right now to pick which drug you should be taking. But the counterfactual prediction, the idea is that it should be able to predict if you had taken the other drug, what would your risk have been? And then we could actually then use prediction, if we have counterfactual prediction that works, to pick between drugs. The difficulty is you never observe the counterfactual, so you don't have the truth. So I think one of the difficulties we're going to have to figure out is how do we validate counterfactual prediction?